If you would join me, we have a moment of silence. Thank you. If you would join me to pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We are here today for this special meeting, special city council meeting here at the Georgetown Municipal Water Sewer Service Administration Building for Tuesday, July the 21st, 2026. And at 6 p.m., 5 p.m. Central Time. And we will go as order on the agenda. First is we call it order. Next is Madam Clerk roll call.
Ms. Wilkins-Brent.
Here.
Mr. Chris.
Here.
Ms. Hambrick.
Present.
Mr. Hampton.
Here.
Mr. Menke.
Present.
Ms. Leslie Mitchell.
Here.
Ms. Tingle Sands.
Here.
Mr. Stone.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 3 on the agenda, approval of minutes from July the 13th, 2026 City Council meeting. At this time, council I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Ms. Mitchell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Ms. Hambrick. Are there further questions and or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Thank you. Item number 4 is public comments. And at this time, you will have 4 minutes. Madam Clerk will time you at 3-minute mark. She will let you know that, and then you will have 1 minute to finish up. And then we'll ask you that you will kindly take the seat. I don't know if there's anything on there that somebody, it's over here. Over there.
That's right there.
Okay, there's nobody signed up. Nobody signed up? Anybody want to sign up to speak?
Yeah, I'll sign it.
If you would sign up, please, and then. Okay,
Yeah, I thought it was I was at the interlocal meeting and I thought it was there.
oh, okay, well, it's here.
Didn't get it right.
All right, so if you want to sign up there. Thank you. Is there anyone who wants to sign up, who want to speak? If not, we'll go by the list. List 2. Thank you, Mr. Councilman Brister. We'll go here, Dan Holman.
I had some display items to pass out. So, but give me a. You can find. So yeah, this report that was given is mentioned about line mortar. So I just thought for visual aid, here's some line mortar to pass around. Because I just hear you. You can actually open them. So my comment might just be showing this. I was actually gonna give you each little packet of your own. So yeah, it did, as the, whoops. I hope that's still working. Is it, there we go. There you go. And here's the original. So yeah, this is actually right there, actual line order, and then that first one is line hemp order. Are you right? Yes. So that may have eaten into my time, and that's fine. Yeah, hopefully this, so Dan Hole in Georgetown, and hopefully this, so this report, I guess, is what you all are discussing tonight. Which was an interesting report, and it identifies this cabin as, though not local to Georgetown, as being 100, possibly up 175 years old, which is still a significant historical structure. And generally, it sounded like it's in good shape. Overall, there's, several logs, like the roof was in good shape, the rafters were in decent shape. It sounds salvageable from looking at this report. There are several logs that have areas of rot, but hopefully they can be, hopefully that can be addressed. So, the city of Georgetown, we call it historic Georgetown, should be able to handle handle restoring an old cabin. So yeah, so like some of the logs that were up to 16 to 20 inches wide, which is very wide, maybe they could be restored. You know, there's ways to restore logs. You can just get some cedar logs or maybe splice logs together. So I don't think there's anything in here that seemed preventative to actually putting it back together. So I've passed through, this summer we passed through Salyersville, Kentucky, which is just a small eastern Kentucky town, but like right in their downtown, they have a significant cabin display area. Where apparently just people in the local area had cabins several years ago, just had cabins in their barns and backyards and things laying around, and they started donating them to the city. And the city put them together and made that a significant portion of their downtown. So yeah, look up Salyersville, Kentucky. So Salyersville can have this significant cabin display right in their downtown. Then the city of Georgetown, which has much, larger budget, should be able to do it. And this frankly doesn't, back in the day, people with like third grade educations, back in the 1850s and just basic hand tool built these cabins. This is not like rocket science or doesn't require huge budgets. It can be done. It's just it's a craft. And it's a kind of it's just a lost craft. But there are people who can do it. So just a suggestion about how to restore it. Have a craftsman who understands cabins overseeing the project and perhaps put together some kind of a Habitat for Humanity group of volunteers that can help with some of the elbow grease and stuff. So yeah, just about the lime mortar that I did agree with the report. That is something, that since the last 100 or more years, we just lost lime mortar, which is like the most prolific building material in the history of the world. But Portland cement is just faster to do, like the post World War II boom, it just required fast things and Portland cement just took over the world, but it's just not breathable. So it's not like the comments in here about breathability. So if this cabin is restored, that would be a good idea to replace that that type of chinking with some other kind of chinking such as lime.
Amen.
And then what other thoughts? Yeah, so mainly this cabin may be, like as was mentioned in the report, it's an educational artifact. So it doesn't necessarily, that's its purpose. It's not historic to this town, but, and it could be put back together like eclectically. It doesn't necessarily have to be like one specific period. 1850, it could be like 1850, elements from 1850 to 1900 could be in the cabin, is an option. So I guess the two options to consider: throw the cabin away, which hopefully the historic city of Georgetown won't do that, or pick it up and move it somehow and hope it holds together, but then still restore it at some point, or take it apart piece by piece and label the pieces. And it's almost like you all probably have the budget to do that. There's a $10,000 budget already. And so how much of that $10,000 budget could be used to take it apart and label the pieces and then put it back together hopefully don't forget about it. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Donnell Christopher.
How's everybody? Good. Right, I ain't got no whole lot to say. I'm just gonna say that as far as the cabin, I don't know what you're gonna do with it, but I know me and Mr. Charles Hicks, 30-some years ago, 92, 93, somewhat responsible for it coming down there at the time when it was. Charles Hicks was a curator down at the log cabin down there at the spring thing. So it was probably at the same time that we adopted this party, came together. And I was a great help in getting that down there. Now, I don't know what you're gonna do with it or what your plans are, but I just know that the history of Boston is a rich history, and it's not being displayed. We have nowhere to put it. The museum don't want to offer it. They don't want to accept it. The library don't want to accept it. We're just adopting the park or whatever, and it's a great thing to exhibit our history. I'm not no historian, and I'm not trying to tell you the history. But if I was to tell you, we celebrate 250 years of Georgetown history. If I told you Boston was older than Georgetown, you wouldn't believe it, right? But if I told you Boston is older than history and it still stands today, that's a rich history right there. And it needs to be displayed. And I figured that some kind of way, cultural, we talk about center and some type of way we need to bring this history to form so everybody can know. I was just at the park yesterday and I've been putting in a lot of work over there. I've been check stuff. Security, I'm doing all kind of stuff, trying to keep it safe for the kids and the elderly. So, you know, this is just my contribution on what I'm giving back to make my neighborhood grow. As I see the neighborhood is back to, I guess you say, homeless camp right now. Everything done quieting down. They were putting themselves down, then we're back to that. So it's a lot of work going on. Or like to be like Martin Luther King, so I had a dream. But I dream a vision of we having this place in our neighborhood where everybody comes to culturally. Learn the history of our neighborhood, come together as one. Everybody. And just have somewhere to go, something to do for the elder people, the younger people. It's this 17, 14, 17 years old. There's nothing for them to do. We just need to get something where we can draw the people. You know, like the center of town was, the new center of town. It's the new center of town. I might want to do a concert. I might even sing tonight, so see how people I feel familiar with. But I got 19 brothers and sisters. They got kids and we got grandkids and great grandkids. The building over, it's not big enough to hold us. Every time we do something, we gotta go somewhere else. It's not big enough. But all in all, I'm saying that
1 minute.
it's a rich history and it needs to be displayed. Just trying to get it on the map. Just get a start, let the next generation come through. Take it where it needs to be. Because it is a rich history. This is our people, your people, we people. So let's just come together, just do something real big. It needs to be some money spent over there because no money has really been spent over there since the federal government came and said, y'all can have this recreation center. That's the last time any money been. Playground equipment we got over there, it was old, was raggedy. It was a need. It was something that had to happen. But as far as money getting invested in our neighborhood, we see houses coming up. We see all this, but it's a business district. We had stores and all kind of stuff over there. So let's bring that rich history back. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. All right. There's no one else has signed up to talk. Item number 5 is discussion for Royal Springs Park Cabin number 2. And this is the major part of the agenda for this a special call meeting. Is for that purpose. You at this council had asked that previously that we go out and get somebody to actually look at this cabin number 2 and actually and see the condition, look at some possibilities, give us some insight as to what it would take, you know, maybe some historical structure on that and some information. So we did reached out, Devin reached out, we reached out, and actually Mr. Kennedy and I had a conversation about a few months ago on this, and so that's how we got connected on this. And so that being said, he's here tonight and he's gonna, you were given a copy of that, and he had some adjustments. He said he made some updates. So I'm gonna ask Mr. Patrick Kennedy to come up and he can talk a little bit about this and go over. And then council, we can have some discussion on this. Then after the discussion, then we, if need be, possible action, which this council desires to do with cabin number 2. Mr. Kennedy, if you will come up, and if you would introduce your name again for the record, please.
My name's Patrick Kennedy.
Okay, thank you.
And thank first fella here for bringing the line board. If I fought a little harder, I got some hard samples at home, that's all, line border, that I could have shown, so thank you for that. I did make, I found it hard personally to edit your own work. Your eyes don't see your own mistakes. So when I printed a copy out to bring it over tonight, I went, oh, so some small corrections. So basically on the first page, I identified some of the wider logs as being west and east facade, and actually they're on the north-south and east facade. west facade is the one with the chimney, and those are not real wide, all small thing. On the second page, bottom of the first, paragraph, there's, in that cabin has, somebody has carefully made wood hinges for the windows, shutters, and the doors, and wood latches. Even in the early 1800s, blacksmiths had metal here. I mean, we had iron, they were making iron here in the late 1700s. So I think that I changed that to correct that. And then I had maybe something else on this. Probably need a few paragraphs here. So I kind of made a report. There's one thing to me, I think is important, and I noticed, I made that, you got the report, right? So in the last paragraph, I said, if you're gonna keep this building, I really think you need to, because we don't really know what period it came from. It probably could guess in 1830, 40, all the way up to the 70s, but I think it's important to identify a period. It's sort of stick to that, to a certain degree. Because I think having the wood hinges and stuff in there, I mean, that if you're looking at, kids are looking at that would not have been in a cabin like that. The other thing, everybody likes wood shingles on a cabin. Wood shingles are really cool, but starting about 1900, they started putting metal on them, and so most cabins that are out there had, like a 5B or corrugated metal roof on them. So, my opinion is, you might want to think about that. If it's an educational artifact, put wood shingles on one side, hopefully the sunny side, and put a metal shingle on the other side, and then whoever's talking, not metal shingles, a metal roof, can talk about how buildings change over time. In terms of that, a lot of buildings that survive had wood siding on them. I've worked 25 years with the Heritage Council, and I worked 15 years with the Heritage Council, and I've been basically working around log cabins in log houses for about 50 years, and I see that there's a lot of buildings. I see people get a log house, or they buy a house that's got siding on it, and they want to take it off and expose the logs. That's a kiss of death to most log houses. There's a reason they have siding on them. And a lot of times when you look at a cabin and you see the corner joints are flush and smooth, that's a pretty good clue that they meant to have siding on it. If they or stand out a little proud, then they probably didn't intend to have siding, and that's not 100%, but it's kind of a clue. So, I guess seen this, and then you got, what are your questions? What are your thoughts?
You might got any questions? That's wrong.
I have a question. One of our main jobs on city council is to look at money. And it's hard for me, you've done a fantastic job giving us a lot of really great information. I'm having a harder time figuring out how much money different options would cost. And I know that's not your lane necessarily, but you might have some input in that direction.
One thing I found out, and probably everybody in this room found out, is everything costs a whole lot more this year than it did 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Really, I find that labor is, people that want to work are, I find it a hard time to find. I've only got one good contractor I can recommend. It's not meaning there is only one. There's only one I know of that I could recommend that would be able to work for this log building that I would trust. My other guys are aged out. And I bet that doesn't mean there's not other people around there. I'm sure there is. Anything let's back up a little bit on it. That building has not been used in years. I mean, I had to pry open the door with the pry bar just to squeeze in and take a stick and knock down all the spider webs. So a building, any building, and I learned that at the Heritage Council when I started there, people want to save schoolhouses, but they would save it and then let it sit there. So a building's gotta have a job, it's gotta have something to do, it needs some occupation. Talk about having people get involved with it, have meetings in it, use it for an educational tool and do the maintenance on it. So that, just whatever reason that building is not going to be used basically. So if you are going to use it, you need to keep that in mind. So how much does it cost? Depends on who you hire. I'm working with for sales on a cabin, a Crittenden cabin, that this poor little cabin's been moved. This is the third time. It got moved from its original location. This is where John J. Crittenden, he was an early governor of Kentucky, went on to be a senator, was pretty well renowned, up to the 1860s, the 1830s to 1860s. So it's kind of important historically. So they moved it about 30 feet to put a house in, and they moved it, when they built the road, they moved it about a quarter mile, and now they moved it into a park. This building was moved about 1975. It was put up, it did not have any overhangs on the roof. I think they used a lot of I know they used some new logs, they used some older ones. They didn't put any siding on it, and then after a while, they quit paying attention to it, quit paying the maintenance. By the time they got me to look at it, which was about a year and a half ago, I went over it, it was pretty much in the same shape, maybe not quite as bad as this one, but a lot of rotten logs, a lot of bad logs. The same thing, well, it actually had it had originally, when they did it in the 70s, they did put lime mortar in there, but for whatever reason, they replaced it on the outside with hard mortar, so we had a lot of rot. So I gave them 5 contractors to talk to. One of them I knew was a really good contractor in building, but he hadn't experienced law. And I threw him in because he was local, and I explained that, and he felt that he could probably do this. Well, they didn't talk to anybody else. They hired him because he was local, and he's had a really hard time with this building. And so far, they got it moved. They got it on a foundation that not one I would have put it on. I would have put it on a real simple foundation, just stone piers on an underground concrete foundation, and would have just put hand laid stones in there. Anyway, they got it on a foundation. They got the logs up. They got the framing up. They got the roof on. They have about $130,000 into that. That's a lot of money. They still got a roof to go, which is going to cost them about $18,000. They need to get the daubing and chinking. Their chinking is the rocks and whatever goes in between the logs, and then the daubing is the masonry material that goes over it. They still got that to do. We've got about 4 or 5 windows that need restored. Most log houses had windows in them. So, you know, this is probably a high end, but still, I could see you could spend $80,000 to $100,000 without. Because part of that is because you have a lot of rotten logs, and there's a lot of what I notified, and you know, I hate to throw numbers out like that because I see people writing down, and that's not a hard number because it depends on who's working with it.
Absolutely.
I worked for years with an outfit that worked called the Store Corps. They're based out of Colorado, and they've got a home base in Virginia, another base in Virginia, and they work with volunteers. They like to work with the local volunteers. They have a supervisor, which I used to do. People come up, they camp, they stay 5 days at a time on a job. They might stay 6 weeks at a job, and they and it's. Might be a little cheaper than hiring a contractor, but they really do a pretty good job. They've got a good reputation and they've been doing it about 15 years now, so. That's one option. Another option is hiring a contractor. You might have local people in the community that could work on this. It's not that hard work. There's books out there. I think did I include a list of books in there? I don't know if I did or not. If I did, I can, I'm sorry. Resources, it's a good one called Dovetails and Broad Axes. It's free, it's your tax dollars at work, it's online, you can download it, it's probably one of the best books out there on restoring and renovating log houses. There's other ones that I could provide, think what else, on this one, in terms of, I don't know if you got to move that other one, but I'm proud of him. He moved the log house with a chimney in the middle. And I've not seen a chimney in the middle. That's his unusual thing, but to move it with the chimneys, fixing doing. On this one, you know, I outlined that the seal logs, which are the supporting logs for the exterior or the gable end walls and the floor joist, are pretty rotted. So I think you might have a hard time lifting that building up from where it is. Plus, you gotta take the chimney down. You can't lift it up because you have to get the chimney down. And that chimney is outlined in there. That's something I've never seen in a log building where they had that open gap all the way up to the peak. They got, you know, basically they cut that wall in half. I think there's 2 logs that go across and that's it. They hold it together. So, even if you took the chimney out, I think you'd have a hard time moving it. To restore it, you're gonna have to take it apart. So why lift it if you're gonna take it apart? And I think they got this other one, the Crittenden cabin, which was a bigger cabin. It was a longer cabin and had a center wall in it. They got that down in about 15 working days. It's a lot easier to take stuff down than it is to build it back up. So I think you could. I know you're all kind of in a rush. You got an agenda here with that pipe. So I would recommend disassembling it, marking them, disassembling it, and putting them someplace off site. And that way you can examine every log and see if you can repair the logs. And there are ways to do that with epoxies. You can do a face splice at the front. A lot of those logs, I've done termites on the outside, just on this outside area. And the only thing I can think on that is that's a wet part. But all the way at the top, I found dirt and residue from termites up there, but the logs seem hard and hardened inside. So.
Do you, if you were to take it down and store it, this is probably a question. Do you store termite infested logs with, or do away with them?
What we used to do, back when I started working on these, there's other big bugs in there. There's these little borers, you can see them, got little bitty holes in them, and I never worried too much about them because they don't eat a whole lot. But what we used to do is we used to stack them and sticker them, which means putting boards in between the layers so you got air all the way around them. We would completely cover them with plastic, put 4x4s or boards or something all the way around to seal them, and pump some kind of poison gases or something in there to kill whatever. And that's what we did. I mean, you can have fun. Somebody else that's in the business would give you some direction on that.
I think that's what you are saying is kind of what we were looking at, asking for, somebody that had more an expert opinion on the cabin as to, it sounds like it's salvageable, but not as a unit to move it, and it's pretty much gonna need to be taken down, so.
I mean, the fact that it's gotta come apart to be put back up. I'm just guessing, I think it'd take probably 15 working days to stabilize it so you can lift it up and then move it, and you still gotta take it apart. So to me, you probably might be able to get it done faster than that. But once you get the roof off of it, it's just a matter of it, you can, and you got a chimney down, that's a little problem now, bring a chimney down. But once you get that done, you know, you basically lower the wall, we used to lower them down with ropes. I rope down on one end, it's 3 or 4 feet when you just slide them down. A lot of them are short logs anyway.
So what kind of people would you hire to take it all apart, label it, take the chimney down, mark all the bricks? You know, make it in a situation where eventually it might be able to be placed somewhere else?
Well, I've got, well, I had about, I've got a list of, well, it's a short list, real short now, of people that work on log buildings. I was over in Warsaw a few weeks ago, looking at one they've got similar, bigger. So this fellow named Jesse Pace that lives up in, where does he live? Westport, Kentucky, up there, and they're a little off 42. His daddy worked with log buildings in that area, and he works with them. I figured I know, watch what he's done. He's pretty able. Used to have a guy in Boone County that did it. He was pretty good. I saw him at funeral service, and basically it was, you know, it's anyway. I don't want to go into details, but he doesn't have a crew anymore, and he's too old.
So we could find
So you got
contractors to do it, and there'd be a cost to that, and then we'd have to find a place to defumigate it or to get the termites out, and then we would have to find a place to store it so that it wouldn't further deteriorate and preserve it, and then in the future sometime, we would have to figure out in the budget, and we'd have to figure out where to put it. So I think.
Back in the day, what we did when we were doing it was, of course, I don't know how long you want to store it. I mean, like quite a few years ago, but you know, we stacked and stickered them outside about this far off the ground, and we stacked them in a stack like that. We put metal roofing on them, and we put big logs on the metal roofing so it didn't blow off, and left them there for a year, 2 years. So that worked all right as long as you can keep the water off of them. Bugs might get back into them.
Yeah.
But I suspect they were lucky at Wicker County at Versailles. They started on that last summer, and all winter they had a huge barn to literally lay the parts out in a great big metal barn, and then rebuild up the first floor, and then rebuild the second floor, then take them all down and take them and restack them. So they had it. That was the best I've ever seen. A great big metal barn to work in.
Thank you for
Yeah,
that information.
great information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. So just kind of reiterate, you know, for discussion and you know, what possible action needs to take tonight. Just want to have a few points that I kind of highlighted as to what Mr. Kennedy said on something like, number one, he was talking about relocation of this cabin as an intact unit does appear to be the best option, but as you find out that it, you know, if you're gonna try to move it, you got the problem with the chimney, and it makes it hard to do. Number two was that it will still need to be carefully disassembled, which means there are usable components salvaged and being renovated and preserved. This will likely be the quickest and least expensive approach to clearing the site. Third item I went down, he's talking about the 42 partial length logs in the cabin, 27 of them, you notice there was some damage to them. That they were
In some cases, a lot of it.
lapse
I
damage
mean,
to
I
it.
can
So,
look down and see.
Yeah.
Log rotted like it.
so they will have to just be replaced.
Yeah.
Okay, and due to the large width, 16 by 20 needed replacement logs, sourcing them will be difficult and expensive due to, you know, as you said, it's hard to find.
It is hard to find, as Livier said, you could splice one piece on top of another if you're trying to replicate the same size of log. If you want to put it back up as a log house, you might not have to be that specific on it, you might be able to get away with not using great big wide logs in some areas and. You know, maybe instead of being 8 logs high, you made it 9 logs high, and that way you use, you know, you still had a log house and you didn't have the great big logs.
And a couple other things here, just two more here now. I think Mr. Stone has something he want to say just a minute. As you mentioned also that the arrangement for a contractor for deconstruction, which means taking it down and disassembling it and then reconstructing it, cabinet would need to be arranged. So you find you somebody that knows about cabinet,
It could be the same person.
same person taking it down, you know, piece by piece, like you said, labeling them, storing them somewhere safely, so don't get, you know, water on them, or making sure that you have to periodically go back and check to make sure that no bugs are getting into it. And then if you do find bugs, you gotta go back and refumigate again, or whatever you have to do to treat it, correct?
It'd be probably best if it was the same person that was gonna rebuild it was the same one that took it down, because then they would be able, have probably more experience with identifying where the logs go. All I know on that is don't put it on the side of the log, but if I'm on the end, I made that mistake on the first one.
And then you also mentioned that the cabinet itself, the new foundation, you're gonna have to have a whole new foundation at the bottom, is that correct?
Well, yeah, you know, I've grown up, I've written up some stuff on that, but the log houses, kind of interesting, they were built on piers, just stone, not that deep, didn't have a foundation on them, they'd have one on each corner, they'd have one at each door, on each side of the door, they'd have one next to each chimney. And then they would just infill with dry stone. And what we've done in the past is we make a pad below ground, just a round pad, and then keep it about 6 inches below the grade, and then dry stone up, and it looks just like an original.
And the last thing is that, you know, if we were to consider, you know, trying to do something with this cabin, would that, even though it has no historical connection with this community as for such, but, you know, it could be used for the purpose of, for educational purpose, but keeping that in mind, you still have to make sure that it fits with the time which of this cabinet should be done.
I think within I guess what I was going on there is this one didn't have any windows in it, just had shutters on the inside, it had the wooden hinges and the wooden handles. I think it's important for people just, if it's an educational one, is to show what it might really look like.
So you talking about changing the cosmetic part of it, where the hinges are taken off, you actually gonna be putting windows and everything in it, just like you would do for the original cabinet.
You know, yeah, we could go get the details here, but you know, they had glass, they put windows in. You could see on that when it had taller windows. So we know it had some there, and then it had that third door, that's weird, I've never seen that, they didn't usually do that, because on that one, it's very clear to me that somebody lived upstairs and had a plastered ceiling on there. So that was probably a long spot, and you had to get up there, so that, I think, and that's pretty common to have a living quarters, sleeping quarters on the second floor.
Yeah.
So you want to make changes like that, and then that opening where that fireplace is, that.
Well, I guess I took all the air out of the room, so I'll let you go, Mr. Stone, you go ahead now.
Thank you, sir. And with Mr. Kennedy talked about some of the logs need to be replaced. If we decided to take it down and store it. You know, we have a couple of options as far as replacing logs. One, Graves Lumberyard at Oxford. Pokey deals with those logs all the time, so.
Where's it?
Graves Lumberyard, it's just east of Georgetown, little community called Oxford.
I know where Oxford is,
Yeah.
there's a nice lumber yard over there, logs.
The old school, old Oxford High School is where Graves Lumberyard is.
Wow.
Go around behind the building in the offices in the basement in the back, so. And then we can also contact the Division of Forestry. They do have classes every year. Matter of fact, a friend of mine's going through now. get certification on identifying trees and taking them down and, clearing land for people. So, we do have options if we want to keep it and take it apart and store it. And identify the lumber, the logs that we need to replace and what type of wood they are, be it, some pine, some oak, some white oak, dark oak, walnut, whatever the case may be. And we have options that we can do to get those boards or the logs back to replace them, so.
If you got access to those logs in a sawmill, even a sawmill out in the field, you can saw those to within an inch or so of what they would be, and then even within that, it saves you a lot of work.
Absolutely. And one of the things to keep in mind too, that's cabin number 2. We still got cabin number 1,
Oh,
which
absolutely.
needs to be addressed too, in which we are not talking about that, but you gotta keep that in mind too. So you're talking about possibility of doing some repair to both of these cabins, and that's something you gotta look at. And again, let's talk about dollars, and let's be the elephant in the room, as Evan always said, sometimes better be able to talk about what's reality is, and reality is it's taking money. And you gotta make sure that we're taking, as you mentioned, taking taxpayers' money and use it in a logical way. Because, sometimes some people may not like the idea of thinking, if we're going to high end $130,000 or even 80,000 to 100,000 of this money, and just for that one, and then we don't even know how much it's gonna cost for the building number 1. If you're talking about doing that too, so you could probably be investing $125,000 to $150,000 to refurnish or to get both these cabins back into place. And you gotta keep that in mind, but like I said, though, I'm just putting it out there for us to talk about. And like I said, I'm open to some suggestions, but from this council, and from there.
You throw something in here, we talked about an educational opportunity, and that's not just looking at it and learning what it looks like. We don't have anybody working on log buildings. I got a lot of people talking to me that want to get log buildings worked on. An educational opportunity might be training people how to work on log buildings and using that as an example. And I don't know where the options are in the educational system on that.
Do you know, you work at the Heritage Council, are there grants and things that are available for this kind of work?
If it was an educational one, maybe. If in general, there's council, which shame on me, because I moved a whole lot of log houses. They don't like you to move. They don't like, because it's lost its period of or place, its context, where it
Right,
was,
sure.
where, and so they don't like that.
Mhm.
But I think as an educational opportunity, there's an option there. And I think too that, there's there's an educational organization based out of Maryland that's training people in hands-on preservation work now, and they're doing it. I wouldn't say nationwide yet, but it's a pretty good force. And then Preservation Kentucky was about $20,000 in there for educational work. So I think you can talk to people there as council, like me, but I think that would be the way to.
All right, so, yes, sir.
One thing I think we should consider, and this comes along in the cost aspect of everything. It would be great to know if there was a general idea of how much of the original material of the cabin could be preserved and taken care of and reused if it's relocated. I know right now there may not be able to get that type of percentage, but if we take it down and we discover there's a lot more of the logs and other things damaged, and then say if we're left with, just throwing this out here, 10 or 20% of the original material is salvageable, then one thing that we would have to consider is we would be taking on a project where we would be building an extensive replica of a historical cabin that would still have educational value. But since it's not original to Georgetown, and since it would be kind of expensive, those would be things to consider. So I would definitely like to think that if maybe we can get 50, 60, 70% or more of the original material and then, reassemble it and have it be that way, I would feel a lot more comfortable about supporting the project. Not that I wouldn't support it anyway, even if we only had 10 or 20%. It's kind of early in the game to think about it, but just something I think we should think about.
Would you, thinking along those lines, would maybe the step that we take need to be to disassemble it and then make the decision about what happens?
Yeah.
Once we know more about it,
So,
then we carefully disassemble it and we spend the money there that we need to get it disassembled.
And-
And then we can't make a decision.
Restore
that's what we talk about. So it just offered a suggestion here and just for here. So if we, I'm here from Ms. Counselor, looking at what I'm putting my head in on is that, okay, it's gonna have to come down.
Yeah.
And we all know that it's gonna come down. So you take it down and maybe we find a place to store it. And then while we get to store it somewhere, we can have somebody come and look into that right there. And while that, we're not in a hurry to put it back up. So, and my second suggestion would be is, there are places that, and I've been approached by some people about possibly doing work with the original cabinet, which is cabinet number 1. Let's go ahead and do something to fix that up. And while we get that process done, then we can possibly look at possibly doing something with the other. That's just a suggestion for me.
I think that's reasonable. I think that's very reasonable.
So basically, part of the decisions that we need to do is, we have a project that's going on right now that is
Yes.
has the opportunity to delay a project if we don't make some decision.
Yes.
Having just gone past there, they're real close to needing to start opening a ground there. We have existing folks, and part of the existing contract was removal of that cabin. One of the questions I have is, are those folks capable and willing and already allocated in the budget of the contract to be able to successfully disassemble that? Or is there a modification that needs to happen there for that contractor, or do we need somebody else to do that? So timing is of the essence.
Was it not in the original?
It wasn't.
They were gonna just destroy it, but not
Well, they were gonna take
Knock
it
it down.
apart.
We're gonna take it down.
Yeah.
take it down as in, take it down nicely. Or take it down
I don't know.
No, just don't knock it, just knock it down.
That's what I thought.
So I think that's one of the questions, but again, it sounds like, at least in the conversation so far, that's the direction. So I think that's part of what we need to work out to move this forward and get a decision made. I think, as the mayor's mentioned and others, cabin 1 needs to be replaced. This cabin 2 can be a resource of that. I think I've been told the 2 cabins on Georgetown College campus that came down that have been stored somewhere.
Last
With
night,
the
place
city.
Ward Hall,
It's where?
Ward Hall.
Last known. Oh, okay.
So, there's some additional resources there that can be utilized, with number 1 and potentially other places. Perhaps Boston area has been suggested. So I think that's where we need to kind of continue to move towards. And I'd be interested, from GMWSS, that your contract, where do we need to go there so that we know how to take the next thing?
So like I said, I know that, again, according to the original contract, they were just going to just knock it down and then just dispose of it. For what that's what the original is. Now, and I believe, and Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong on this, is that of that, them taking it down, was the $10,000 was part of that to take it And what did I get $10,000 for?
I think Alan's on the call and would probably be best equipped to answer that question.
Alan?
Alan, are you able to speak to that?
The original bid was $35,000 to pick up cabin number one and move it back and build a new foundation in the location of cabin number two. Cabin number two had a cost of $10,000 just to knock it down and dispose of it.
Yeah.
So if we was to get someone to come in and actually disassemble it for the amount of money that we were spending, you know, like I said, $10,000. I mean, if could we get this done? Somebody coming in and doing that, taking it down and labeling, putting it somewhere for that amount of money. Then I think they become, I don't think so, but I'm just wondering, you know, but it might be more.
The question for me would be how much more,
Yeah,
you know, because. You know, I thought the amount of money to work around it was
you'll see. Oh, yeah.
exorbitant,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but if it's 5,000 more. Whatever, I mean, something reasonable, like maybe not more than double. Then I think that's the way we need to go. I think, and then we have we're spending the money hoping that we can save it. We may find out that, you know, we have to use some of the logs on it to fix up cabin one or whatever. You know, or it may be too far gone, but we don't know that answer until we get in there. And I mean, that's what I would like to propose is that we see if we can get somebody to take it down. And number the thing in the proper way so that we can reassemble it at some point, if that's what we decide to do. But once we get it down, we assess it. We don't make any decision about taking it down and taking it somewhere where we're gonna store it. And then we go from there. We make another decision.
I guess my question is,
Somewhere.
yeah, if we contracted with the first cabin and to pick it up and move it, so those folks had the expertise to be able to do that. Do they have the expertise to be able to disassemble number two and, you know, continue on to be able to continue this process?
And that would be something that, I guess,
Well,
we could ask you to find out for us.
I think their cost of the 10,000 was just to knock it down.
Right.
And it's gonna cost more to go in there
Absolutely.
and just label it and
Right.
take it down piece by
Sure.
piece, so you've got that cost. And also, you know, something that no one has discussed yet is, you know, we're operating against a short time period here. So
Very short.
got to make a decision now, and whatever contractor we used, you know, we need to get this done in a very, very short period of time.
But when the next thing then, it sounds like we're in consensus, we want to try our best to take it down and save it as in storing it and taking it down as properly as we can. So the question would be, because you said they did a nice job moving the other cabin, that would be the water company to go back to this particular contractor they've been dealing with and ask them, can they take it down, mark it, and how much is that gonna cost to do that? Because we know it's more than $10,000. That's what they were gonna just tear it down. So the water company would need to probably go to that and ask that as quickly as possible. If you can probably get that part of it in the next short period of time.
That would be a change order.
It would be a change order,
It'd be
yeah.
a change order, sure.
Yes,
I suspect that $10,000 might, a lot of it could be exposed to, they're gonna pay somebody to dispose of
Yeah.
it.
that's possibly.
So
If you're not
it
doing.
comes down quick, you still gotta take a chin down, so that's gonna get knocked over and all that. You actually, like, if the chin's on the side, you can just have to take it back and flatbed up, and start sliding down.
I mean, to me, the decision to carefully take it down, label it, you know, get the termites out of it. But the bigger decision, if we decide to do that tonight, we have to have a place to put it
Right.
almost immediately. So, I mean, where are we gonna put it such that it's, you know, covered and safe and, you know, do we have a city property that can be used to that effect.
Does Public Works have enough area to put it out there for storage and be able to, they could build a canopy, like he was talking about with the canopy, they would be able to build a canopy for it.
Probably work with the county and store it somewhere. They've got several farms available that they could be put on.
Okay.
And you would just need railroad ties,
Uh-huh.
base, put logs, railroad ties, base, logs. Something to keep it off the ground so that the air circulates around it, keeps it as dry as
Or
possible.
some kind of cover,
So that would be something we could ask the mayor to be checking into that quickly and
Yeah.
see if there's a where the place would be best place to store it.
Well, I think the first thing we need to decide, and as you all mentioned, we're on the clock here. We have to make a decision. We have to make a decision what we're gonna, take it down and store it. Is that what we're gonna do? If that's what you're gonna do, then,
yes.
then
Motion.
I need to make a motion, that somebody give me a motion to make an action on this. And your motion is to take it down.
Correct.
Yes,
And how we gonna
Destroy
take it?
it,
We're taking it down.
take it down,
label it.
label it and store it.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, a motion made by Mr. Stone, second by Mr. Hampton. Are there any questions and or comments on this?
And find a place to store it. I would have.
I mean,
Be
that's,
just talking with J.R. Brandenburg and Robert Bruin, and they could come up with some place to store it.
So, to make
To
sure,
clarify that there will still be more action required.
There
So
will,
what you are
yes.
asking is for the mayor to move forward with the conversations necessary to get the pricing, understand whether
Yes.
these contractors can complete that. If they can't, to independently get pricing and then keep that. But the goal of the council is to disassemble and try to.
Yeah,
As quickly as possible.
and so everybody understand that, so what would, the idea is that we're gonna be disassemble it. And if they can't do it, the contractor can do it, and what it is, the difference in price will be. If they cannot, then we have to go out and actually contract somebody to do that, that will do that, and maybe. Mr. Kennedy can give us some recommendations of some people that we may be look at from there. And then at that point in time, we can look at, but also keeping in mind that we have another cabinet to get to. So is there any other questions or comments? I think I got it. Pretty good.
do we vote?
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm working in secret.
You guys.
I gotta go, you won't mess me up here, okay? Yeah, so, but is there any other question and no comments? All those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed say nay. Then that will be what we have. So if there's no other business to be brought for this council, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.